Welcome, my name is Eric Martineau, and this is part 2 of a 2-part series about private equity banking and the benefits thereof. In part 1, I spoke about what were the generic benefits of private equity banking. In this part 2, I'm going to show you how to use the basic principles of private equity banking using real case studies. Here are the 6 benefits of private equity banking. First, tax-free growth and tax-free use of your money for life. 2, guaranteed returns with 0 market risk. 3, liquid cash. You don't have to wait until you're old and gray to get at your cash. You can get it anytime you want. The 4th benefit of private equity banking is protection, both from creditors and lawsuits, as well as unpredictable economic events, those ups and downs in the market that none of us control. The 5th, compounded interest. Our money grows. Compounded interest coupled with tax-free growth is a fabulous tool. And then there's arbitrage, the 6th component. Very, very powerful. The ability to have our money working for us in 2 places simultaneously. Can't get that anywhere else, and tax-free. So I'm going to show you how you can utilize this arbitrage to increase your investment. In part 1, I stated that private equity banking is not an investment, it's a tool. I took part 1 and I sent that off to 2 of my mentors, 2 men in this industry that I really look up to. And one of them called me back and he said, look, Eric, private equity banking, it's the best investment that there is. You just have to use it properly. So he calls it an investment. The second one emailed me and he said, I do consider private equity banking an investment. But it's even better. It's a guaranteed investment. Then he added, but it's a tool as well. Well, I'm going to stick to my guns. I still think that it is a tool, but I'm going to change that to toolkit instead. Let me give an example. A couple years back on Black Friday, I went to Home Depot. I know, don't go to Home Depot on Black Friday. You're going to spend a couple $1,000. And they had this tool set there, right? I could buy all of these tools. Well, I needed both of the saws and I liked both of the drills. And I was like, cool. I didn't know what that last thing was. I'd never seen one of these before. In fact, I don't even to this day know what you call that thing, right? It didn't have the blade connected to it. 2 years later, I go to visit a friend of mine who is remodeling a hotel. And he's got one of these things and he's cutting through drywall and he hits a 2x4 and he just keeps going through it, hits a nail in the 2x4 and just cuts through it like butter. I'm like, that is a cool tool. I need one of those. And I started thinking, wait a minute, I got one of those. As I've thought about some of the people that I've helped get into private equity banking, it's dawned on me that we made it for one specific usage, but I've not expanded that to help people understand other ways that they could use this tool. And so I'm afraid that some of the people that have this tool bag that I've handed them don't understand all of the ways of utilizing a private equity banking account. So I'm going to do that for you today. In Tony Robbins' book, Money, Master the Game, listen right here. Tony Robbins says, I had an immediate aversion to the words life insurance. Like most, I'd been sold retail life insurance and I wasn't going to be taken again. And then his attorney said to him, Tony, this is not your typical retail life insurance. You can't just buy this off the shelf. Think of this as an insurance wrapper to place around your investments. You see, his attorney thinks like I do. This is a toolkit. Private equity banking is a toolkit, a number of tools that you can use to improve or enhance your investments. So I'm going to change my definition from part 1 to part 2. Private equity banking is not an investment. It's a toolkit to enhance and improve your investments. Problem is, like you know, there's no user's manual. Why is that? Remember what Tony Robbins' attorney just said. She said, you can't just buy this off the shelf. Each policy is crafted around your goals, your finances, and your health. That's pretty private, isn't it? So what ends up happening at the end of these things is I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that I keep your goals, your finances, and your health private. And so I've built a lot of these things and I've crafted them around a person's goals, their finances, and their health, but I don't go running around showing people. It's not like as if I sold a solar system to somebody and I can say to the Joneses, hey, look, I just got that for the Smiths. Look at that. I can't do that. So in making this how to use portion in part 2, I'm going to change the names, but I'm going to keep the prospectuses the same. So I'll show you real live illustrations, but please understand, I'm changing the names, not the numbers, to protect those that I've worked with in the past, again, so that their goals, their finances, and their health are not compromised by me by showing you how these folks have utilized these tools. But I hope at the same time, you'll be able to look at it. So let's call this Other People's User's Manual, right? But again, it's changed. Now, in grabbing other people's, let's say I'm using $20,000 as an example. You might be thinking, $20,000? Are you crazy, Eric? I don't get out of bed for $200,000. Why don't you show me examples with $2 million? Or you might be thinking, $20,000? Are you crazy? I could barely do $2,000. Let's do $200,000. I don't care where you're at. If you need to add 2 zeros or subtract 2 zeros from my examples, please understand the examples and the ideas will work whether you add a 0 or subtract a 0 for your financial situation. It's the concepts I want you to see on how to utilize the tools of private equity bank. So what I want to accomplish today is to show you how to get out of bad debt while still utilizing other people's money wisely. 2, how private equity banking can help you outperform the stock market with 0 risk. 3, how you can pay off structured loans with non-structured loans and lower your interest rates. I'm also a loan officer. A structured loan is what I give people anytime they want to buy a home. You have to make that payment on the first of each month. It's a structured loan. But inside of a private equity banking policy, even though you can borrow and use your cash value as collateral, what you borrow from the general fund of the insurance company is a non-structured loan. You never have to pay it back if you don't want to. If you want to make 3 payments in a month, make 3 payments in a month. If you want to make no payments in a month, don't make any payments. That's what I'm talking about. Again, very powerful tool when utilizing private equity banking. The next one, protect your business and your business's assets from the unpredictable and the uncontrollable. Let that sink in. You can get real estate, vehicles, equipment, it doesn't matter. And by owning them, but owning them through your private equity banking account, guess what? They are now protected from the unpredictable and the uncontrollable. I'm going to talk about this one at length. Don't pay cash and drop your savings to 0. Combine lost opportunity cost, which is what happens when we spend our money down to 0. That money is gone forever. We can't use it again. We're going to combine lost opportunity cost with arbitrage. So we have 2 pots of money, one that's always growing and one that we can use to leverage in other investments that as we pay it down, this one has kept growing. Okay? So we're going to use our money twice. Invest in real estate and receive higher rates of return and less risk. I'm a real estate guy. As I said, Diane and I owned 16 rental properties at one point in our life. That was going to be our retirement. And because I didn't have a private equity banking account, I lost all of that. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to invest in real estate, get higher rates of return, and have less risk. Invest in businesses or new businesses. If you're an entrepreneurial person, how to invest in new businesses and get higher rates of return with less risk. Also, build a predetermined, tax-free retirement income for you. A lot of people think life insurance is like, well, I can't use it during my life. It's only good for my family in the future. Not the case with private equity banking. Remember, you can get back to that cash anytime you need it. So if you want to tell me how you want your retirement income to look like. Eric, I want to take $70,000 out. I want to get to age 65, and at that point, I want $75,000. I want $135,000. I want $25,000. Again, the numbers don't matter. You can build a predetermined, tax-free retirement income using private equity banking and still have access to that money between now and then. And then lastly, build a predetermined, tax-free legacy for your heirs. You tell me, Eric, I want to have $5 million or $25 million or $50,000. Again, the numbers don't matter. You tell me how much you want to leave to your heirs, and we can build something so that at age 75 or whatever, you're there. You've got that money and you know it's going to your family. I want to give you a user's manual for all the tools that are available for those of us that have private equity banking accounts. Here's another example. Friend of mine, banking method for leasing his equipment. Here's what the banks would have. Now, this gentleman is not a super rich guy. He does well. He owns an HVAC company, and he had a number of utility trucks. And he had been taught by his CPA to go out and lease those trucks because then it was a company tax write-off. So what he'd do is he'd go lease a truck in year 1, and then in year 2, he'd lease another truck. These are 5-year leases. Year 3, another truck. Year 4, another truck. Year 5, another truck. And then he'd turn in that first one and get his 6th truck. And every single time he did this, he's back to zero. He didn't buy the trucks. He just turned them in and got a new one. So all it was just cash flow going out the door. But his CPA would tell him, but you've got a tax write-off. Let's do that same scenario now, except inside of a private equity banking account. He became his own bank and used arbitrage. He bought the truck for himself, and then guess what he did? He bought it in his name. He probably owned it in another LLC. But whether he bought the truck in his own name as the owner and then leased it back to his company is what he did. So he buys a truck and then he leases it back. And he kept all of these things inside of his private equity banking account. So he's the owner of the HVAC company, and under that he buys truck number 1. Then he leases that truck back to his HVAC company. So he becomes what? The bank, private equity banking. He became the bank to his own company. Let's look at the numbers. His cost of goods, his cost to get the capital. He can borrow, and the total to buy a $100,000 truck is $510, or in other words, 0.5%, a half of a percentage point. You tell me, how many small business owners can go out and get a signature loan for $100,000 at 0.5% interest? That's what he's able to do. But then he leases it back to his company at 6.5. So he's able to borrow the money at 0.5, and he leases it back to his company at 6.5. Let me ask you, what's the rate of return? If you said 6%, or I said it, and you agree with that number, because that's what most people would say, we're wrong. Let's look at it this way. You can get money for 50 cents, and then you can get back $6.50. What's his rate of return? If you say it's $6, how much did he make? $6? Well, you're right, kind of, because he did get $6, but that's his investment gain. What's the ROI? Let's look at it. It costs him $500. He makes $6,500. It leaves him $6,000 on a year. Again, a $100,000 loan. What is the ROI? 1,200%. What? Yeah, that's how banks make money, guys. Why do you think that they've got the biggest buildings in every downtown area? Because they're making a 1,200% return on investment. He just did that for his own company. I mean, think about that. How many small business owners with an HVAC company do you know that are making 1,200% ROI for each truck in his fleet? That's what this gentleman was able to do. How many HVAC owners are also leaving their families millions of dollars in tax-free legacy? Why? Because they bought every one of those trucks through their private equity account. Again, if you've got the ability to buy equipment or toys and shove them through a private equity account, that's what you do. Because at the end of the day, you're able to leave your family multi-millions of dollars in tax-free generational wealth. Folks, this is what private equity banking can do for you. We've gone over many of the tools. 1, get out of debt while using other people's money wisely. 2, outperform the stock market with 0 risk. 3, pay off structured loans with non-structured loans and lower your interest rates. 4, protect your business and your business's assets from an unpredictable and uncontrollable events. Your real estate, your vehicles, your boats, your cars, your planes, your equipment, all of it. We've also shown how not to go and use cash and take your cash away and lose your opportunity cost. Use arbitrage instead. Use your money twice. Very powerful. Invest in real estate with higher rates of return and lower risk. You can also invest in businesses and new businesses and get higher rates of return with less risk. This is probably the most important, well, next to the most important, I guess. Build a predetermined, tax-free retirement income for you. I know a lot of people think insurance is for once you die. You just saw two examples where these people were able to build a predetermined tax-free retirement income. And then also build a predetermined tax-free legacy for your heirs. This is what you get with private equity banking. I look forward to helping you. Get a hold of me, let me show you, let me craft with you something that fits your goals, your finances, and your health so that you and your family can take advantage of private equity banking. I look forward to helping you. Thanks.